The video where I crop it so that the stains that I've realized after recording this video aren't visible. I made bacon this morning, and that, in hindsight, may have been a mistake. Hey everyone, I'm Nick in the States, and in this video, this lovely little bit of thing, we're going to do some Sunday morning trivia. First, we're going to recap last week's answers and winner and all of that kind of stuff, and then we're going to go over this week's questions. I added 5 more, so there's 15 for your Sunday morning enjoyment. And enjoyment, I have to thank you all. I think we had over 1,000 views between last Sunday and today, which is much better than any of the Gibson content that we were doing on Sundays were. So hopefully you still enjoy this. I know that might have been kicked a little bit because of the Positive Grid Spark 40 amp stuff that we have coming this week. But still, thankful for you showing up, and we'll do another round and see how you like this week's stuff. First off, let's recap quickly through the questions from last week, starting with which 1980s guitarist, still relevant today, is famous for playing the most popular Gibson copy really of all time, and that's Slash. His original guitar was made was made in the early 80s or late 70s as a copy of a 58 or a 59 because Gibson was making crap at that point. And so that was really like the best guitar copy from the studio that was there. I ended up buying it. It became the Appetite for Destruction guitar. Ironically, a copy of a Gibson is the guitar that is probably the most counterfeited guitar in the world, the Appetite for Destruction, Appetite guitar in your Gibson copies. Number 2, who is the current owner of the Peter Green Gary Moore 59 Les Paul? And that's Kirk Hammett, who still occasionally brings it out on the road and was just in a Metallica video the other day when they were, kind of putting a remotely recorded song from home. So still actively getting used, still out there living, still got a bunch of wear on it, and he's rocking that thing out. Number 3, what material was Jack White's airline guitar made out of? They call it Rezo glass, which was basically fiberglass. Little known fact. Which artist, number 4, which artist was responsible for Paul Reed Smith coming out with an SE line of inexpensive guitars? It was actually Carlos Santana. He wanted Paul to come out with a line that was much more accessible to the average person because their guitars were really expensive then, probably even more so than now in the USA line at the dollars of the day. And so he wanted his fans really to have something to get into guitar, and that's where the PRS SE Santana with the slashed inlays kind of in the shape of a Custom 22 first came out for PRS, and it's been a huge, huge, huge success for them. I don't know if Paul didn't want to do that line originally. I think it might be something similar to the Silver Sky when John Mayer came to him and said, hey, let's do a Strat type guitar, and Paul was like, F that, man, I don't want to do it. And John's like, nah, if I'm going to do Paul Reed Smith guitars, I really need this thing. And I think the Silver Sky is now their best-selling one. So sometimes Paul gets pulled in directions that works out well, at least for his bottom line. Agile, Harley Benton, PRS, Heritage, Ibanez. What's the one company in this list that didn't have to change or wasn't required or asked to change their guitars and didn't capitulate to Gibson due to a lawsuit or a threat or some sort of cease and desist? And the answer is actually PRS. They're also the only one of those guys that actually went to court with Gibson and won. Everyone else, I have original shaped Harley Bentons that then had to change. Heritage had a certain shape at the beginning. They changed, and now there's a lawsuit actually saying that they didn't change enough on some things. Ibanez is the original lawsuit guitar kind of stuff in the early 80s, late 70s, which is why the Ibanez Les Pauly shaped things didn't really come to the US. And even Agile, the first Agile guitars, I have one of those as well, an original shape, accurate shape Les Paul had to change. Now they have that little weird Gumby thing and the weird Gumby headstock. What was my first guitar video related to? That guitar. I was unboxing a Gibson, a copy, an awful, morally compromised guitar that you'll have a video on soon. Again, revisiting a little over 5 years later. Which pickup manufacturer had the trademark on the double white exposed humbucker? I kind of didn't ask this perfectly, because double white, there wasn't one. But there was one on double cream, and I'll give credit to the sleuth who actually brought up that inaccuracy in my question. But the answer is Larry DiMarzio pickups. And that's why you didn't see Gibson come out with double creams for the longest time, because DiMarzio at some point had trademarked them kind of brilliantly, and that's why the double cream DiMarzio look is really something that they're famous for. Billy Joe Armstrong, Malcolm Young, Tom DeLonge. What do they all have in common in their guitars? Single pickup. That's it. Single pickup in the bridge. Number 9. Mesa Boogie got its start modding which Fender amp? The Princeton. I thought it was a bassman or something like that, but no, that's Marshall kind of way. They went with the Princeton and kind of hot rodding those little guys and turning them into just killer combos. And then name one person you're really grateful for in your life. And mine is my wife, who not only is understanding of all this guitar stuff, but is my best friend and just partner in crime and all that we do in life, and a willing co-conspirator in so many fun, great adventures. And so I'm super, super grateful there. And a lot of you guys had it was family, it was significant others, it was parents and stuff. It was really kind of cool to read through all of those, especially now in these days when things are a little weird. Strange, right? So those were last week's questions, and the winners from last week was a gentleman named Peter Schmidt, who was the one that also pointed out that DiMarzio has the double cream, not double white. Had everything. And his person he was thankful for was his father, who taught him workmanship, and he didn't appreciate it, I think, at the time, but over time came to appreciate it so much more. So that's last week's stuff. Let's now pivot to this week's questions, and I did 15 because a few more, and that way I could throw out some YouTuber comment and regular guitar comment as well. So on to the 15. Number 1, Ace Frehley's Budokan guitar, the Cherry Sunburst Les Paul Custom, is probably his most famous looking guitar, but in that period he had a second guitar whose look also was quite iconic and has been copied and has been available mainly from things of that time. What's it set up like? What's it look like? What's its color scheme? Number 2, the Fender Swinger guitar, hey, Swinger, was actually built with leftover bodies from which Fender model? Number 3, how does Eric Clapton avoid having to use a boost pedal on stage? What magical voodoo does he do so well? Number 4, were any actual monkeys harmed in the creation of the Monkey Grip guitar from Steve Vai? Number 5, what guitar brand is now built in the factory in Kalamazoo, Michigan that used to be the Gibson factory? Number 6, Buddy Guy did over 100 tour dates last year. How old is he? Number 7, which famous, really famous guitarist was the proud recipient of a 1959 Gibson Les Paul on their 50th birthday that had extreme sentimental value? Number 8, what makes the new Eric Johnson signature Strat so unique compared to his previous signatures and typical Strats? Number 9, how many Gibson guitars does Henning Pauly, famous bon vivant and YouTube personality, own? Number 10, what is the finish on Robert Baker's original old school Gibson Les Paul? Not that brand new custom that he just bought, which is sexy. Number 11, what is the logo of on Hunter Engel's Aguefish signature guitar? Number 12, a very common question that happens. Where does Shane from In the Blues source his left-handed specific guitar strings? Number 13, if Rob Chapman were to buy a Gretsch White Falcon guitar and give it a nickname after his new home, what would be the most logical nickname for that guitar? Number 14, who owns the Stratocaster with serial number 0001? And number 15, Leo Fender. Which of his own guitar models did he play the most and is most famous for playing himself? There you go, 15 questions, some of which fun, some of which detailed, some of which a little bit off. This is today's Question Things. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. I also want to apologize, I actually didn't get many videos out this week, and that's because my work world got turned upside down. When your entire management chain, 3 levels up, all are no longer working with the company that you work at, things become a little unsettled and unknown. But everything's fine in my world. Don't worry about that. It just became a consistent distraction and a bit of insanity. More stuff coming this week. I've been Nick in the States. Yes, indeed, I have issues. Thanks for stopping by on this Sunday morning or Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, whenever you're watching this and sharing them with me. Take care, folks. You're still here. You need to go home. The video's, it's over. We've moved on. You should, you could subscribe right here or watch these things, but there's nothing else to see here. Just move along.